Sakazuki is dead. Bandai has officially killed him.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did.
First they tried to get rid of Whitebeard, now they're trying to get rid of another leader. Oh boy. What is going on, everybody? It's Sean the Saiyan here, back with some more One Piece TCG content. Today we're going to be getting into the recent ban list, which just appeared at Worlds. For those of you who aren't aware, this weekend was the Worlds tournament over in Japan, which is essentially to decide who is the best One Piece player in the world. Main people were all Sakazuki players. Getting into the ban list, we have Sakazuki, the leader, Great Eruption from the starter deck, which is a black event, and the yellow reject. So we're going to kind of break down why maybe they decided to ban these cards. So by the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of maybe why Bandai decided to ban these cards, but also to see if it was a right idea on their end, because there's a lot of mixed reactions like usual whenever a new ban list comes out. A lot of people tend to get really mad, and a lot of people seem to think it's okay, and some people just don't care. Overall, like, how do I feel about banning Sakazuki? I'm not personally a Sakazuki player, so to me, it's just kind of okay. Like, it doesn't affect me a whole lot. You know, I've played Sakazuki several times, and I understand the appeal of the deck. I understand that it is a very strong and consistent deck, but me personally, it's just not my playstyle. So them banning Sakazuki doesn't have a huge effect on me, but for a lot of people are very mad. A lot of people are very pissed that they did this and that they didn't hit yellow as much as they should have, with Enel taking more of the tournaments here, while Japan and in the East, Sakazuki has been winning all of the tournaments. So it's kind of funny. Like, we're in North America, we're big yellow players, and here in Asia and Japan, they're all about Sakazuki. So yeah, Sakazuki pretty much dominated this tournament. Again, all of the finalists were Sakazuki players, and the winner, of course, was a Sakazuki player. So I think maybe in that decision, that could have been a big realization why Bandai decided to just ban this leader. But they're also putting out a new leader that is not quite as strong as the regular Sakazuki leader. So they're getting rid of the original leader, but they're kind of subbing in a newer leader, and I'll have it on the screen, but it's just not quite as strong. So really, they are kind of just getting rid of Sakazuki. Now, Great Eruption, I was honestly pretty surprised by. I thought for sure that the two things that they were going to hit Sakazuki would probably, they were going to restrict Rebecca and restrict Houndblaze, because ever since Houndblaze has been out, I've always thought that that card was just insane. Being able to bottom deck and then give one of your characters +3, it's just insane. It's very consistent, and that's really like what Sakazuki players look for. They try to get their Houndblaze and just bottom deck our biggest stuff on the board and then just swing out. So Houndblaze has always been kind of a broken card in my opinion, but Rebecca is also insane, doing the Rebecca Hina Lucci combo, being able to get a character out for free and also a blocker, and then get something from your trash. So it just adds to it, and it being a blocker, being able to get that extra defense in. I just think Rebecca is, I wouldn't say she's broken, but she's very, very strong and very versatile. But overall, like, for me, it doesn't affect me a whole lot. It definitely is going to affect the meta, and we're going to get into that here in a second. But as far as like my playstyle goes, I don't really care. I understand why people might be mad. Sakazuki is a very consistent deck, and in some ways, I don't think that it's necessarily the most unfair deck. I think that, you know, Sakazuki is a very strong and consistent deck, but you also have to play it with a lot of precision. It's very similar to Red Green Law from like OP01 and OP02. You can be very strong if you know how to pilot it right, but you have to play with a lot of precision, and you have to think through your turns. In ways, I think that banning the leader may not have been the best choice by Bandai, because again, personally, I'm not a huge fan of just banning leaders, because when they ban one leader, that opens up the door to ban other leaders. So that I'm not a huge fan of. But let's go ahead and get into the yellow event that they decided to ban, because I personally, I think that they probably should have hit yellow a little bit more. One of my least favorite things about the One Piece TCG is how sometimes it can just feel like such a trigger game. You can play to your best and then just get vested by a beige trigger, or, you know, get a Sanji blocker out. That's one of my least favorite things about the game right now. So for those of you who aren't aware of, Reject is a yellow event that is coming out, and it has activate main, choose either K up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, or if your opponent is at 1 life or less, deal 1 damage to them and then add the top card of your deck to your life. It's pretty stupid, to be honest. Stupid as in, like, it's too good. And the other thing that we need to think about is yellow is going to consistently get better. I mean, Enel is going to get better in OP07. Katakuri is probably going to be better still, and I still think that Katakuri is probably the better leader between Enel, because I feel like there's less luck involved and there's more like board control. With Enel, it's just kind of delaying the game out until you have the advantage. But OP06, Katakuri is still probably the best yellow leader, and then OP07, I think Enel is going to kind of take back over. A lot of people were considering that they were going to restrict the 10 cost Big Mom, but the other thing is that card is leader locked. So I think in that regards, it's really good, but I don't think that it's worth restricting or banning, since number one, it's leader locked, but also you could have like a terrible board and you could play 2 back-to-back Big Moms. But I mean, if your opponent just has a way stronger board, just way more pressure out, it's no question they're gonna take it. So I think with those, that's why with those 2 points, I think that it's not worth restricting. But some other cards that I think probably could have been hit as well is they probably could have maybe just honestly banned beige. I mean, that card is just insane. That's like a good example of like why triggers are so powerful and why a lot of people are kind of turned off by yellow, is because of its trigger of being able to just not let your opponent swing with one thing, because that can literally cost you the game right there. The other event that I thought for sure was going to hit was Amaru, the 1000 million volts Amaru. So 1000 million volts Amaru basically lets one of your leaders or characters gain plus 3000, and then you can rest a 4 cost or less if you're at 1 life. So it's really good for closing out games, and it's basically you could rest a blocker and just swing out for game. But it also has a trigger of you may trash 2 cards from your hand and add up to 1 card from the top of your life. So in NL, it's insane. So I think they probably should have hit yellow a little bit more. I get it. Sakazuki is a very strong leader. It is very consistent. It probably should have been hit, but not in the ways that I think Bandai did. I'm not crazy about just banning leaders. I think that is a really bad idea. I think you're going to piss off a lot of the community. And in some ways, you don't need to necessarily ban a leader, because when you ban a leader, you're essentially banning a whole deck. And yes, I know they're putting a new one out, but I feel like they could have just restricted either Rebecca or Houndblaze, or both, maybe just a 2 even. And I feel like less people would have been as pissed, and it just would have been probably a smarter decision. I think overall this ban list is kind of iffy. I mean, it is kind of nice to see that obviously people are gonna have to play different decks and people are gonna have to change their strategies up. But again, I think banning a leader is just a big, not a good idea at all. And I think they should have hit yellow more. I think, and yellow is, and Nell especially, starting to become kind of a problem in the TCG, and I think it's turning off a lot of players. I guess we'll see what happens in the future and how this is going to affect. This is obviously going to shake up the meta quite a bit. I mean, Purple Luffy might gain a lot from this. Green Uta could gain a lot from this, because those 2 decks seem to struggle against Sakazuki, especially Purple Luffy. I know Uta people kind of have mixed feelings about, but from my experiences in talking with Uta players, Sakazuki seems to be kind of one of their worst matchups. With OP06 just literally right around the corner next Friday, how this is going to affect how the community is going to react to it, how it's going to change up the meta, because it's obviously going to change up a lot of things. But the meta is going to shift anyway with OP06 coming out. So, but anyway, guys, that's just kind of my thoughts. I think that, they could have, the way that they handled some things were poorly, and some things, with yellow, obviously, I think that was a smart call, but they probably should have just dug into it a little bit more. But Anyway, guys, that's just kind of my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of this ban list, and let me know what leader you are playing in OP06. Be sure to follow me on TikTok, Twitch, at Sean the Saiyan. Have plenty more One Piece TCG content on the way. Until next time, guys.